there are mental illnesses that can't be fixed, maybe, without medicines. You know, the medicine fixes the issue once or twice or 3 times, and then all of a sudden on the 4th time or the 5th time, the medicine doesn't work anymore, and the issue just gets worse because, you know, they never address the problems in the first place, and so they just get put on more medicine until they're no longer themselves.
If you're one of the millions who experience anxiety and your symptoms have lasted more than 6 months, it may be a sign of depression.
It's a serious medical condition that affects more than 20 million Americans.
Antidepressants help relieve the symptoms of depression. Spring 2015, New York. Denis Mikhailov, a former office clerk from Manhattan, sets a new Guinness record for continuous running, having covered 129 kilometers in 12 hours.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good Guinness on. We got the record, guys.
Those are almost all different medications that I've been on.
This is Chris. This is Josh. And this is Deborah. But our story starts with this guy.
I was very lucky when I came here. I barely passed the English test, so I got accepted in the business school, and it was huge for a guy from a small town in Russia. I didn't even live in Moscow or any large city at all, and to come to the United States, completely different culture. And for me, it was eye-opening experience because I learned about the world of finance, the way that the world works. The company that I was working for, we were doing what was called the healthcare communications, which in reality was advertising for the huge pharmaceutical companies. Whenever they come up with a new drug or have existing drug, we would come up with a new ways to advertise it all around the world.
I don't want to live with depression.
I want to enjoy life again. I feel this pain constantly.
This guilt is always with me.
Depression may be a result of a chemical imbalance in your brain.
Tell your doctor about your problems and ask for a prescription. There's no need for you to feel bad anymore.
It's 10 p.m. now on Friday. I'm looking at this building on the 8th floor, and something tells me that my boss is still there, because usually Friday night before heading home for the weekend we have to wrap something up and put out another long day at work. Not really missing that part of it, staying in the office for 10 hours a day.
Denis now has a new view of his former job. A few years ago, his life changed drastically, and he has his reasons to help us make this film.
Last night from Donald Trump with a sigh of relief and say, good for you, good for both of you. Gracious, open-armed moments and a plea to bring the country together after what has clearly been the most divisive in this country. And I think
This guy's name is Matt.
was quite welcome today. I'm here still with Carl Rove and Steve Hayes. Carl, this is a woman who's been the First Lady of Arkansas, the First Lady of the United States, a senator.
Today, he leaves his parents' house to go surfing. It's his life.
All you got to do is just go down the hill and make a right.
Okay.
And then we're right there.
Okay, we will catch you like in 10 minutes.
Yeah, come on. Meet all the crew. Right there. Come on down. When I was, I think, 11 or 12 years old, I was put on a drug called Accutane, which was an acne medicine that blocked the vitamin D so that your skin would be not as oily, I guess. I don't know. Unfortunately, the byproduct of that drug is it caused like severe depression.
People who surrounded me in Russia when I was growing up, nobody was taking any kind of drugs. And here I was surprised to hear or see even young people taking some kind of pills to improve the mood or to get more energy. I wasn't sure what was going on. And then when I got involved in this world of the pharmaceuticals, I saw the huge array of different drugs geared to different people to treat different conditions, most of which I've never heard before.
I'll never forget where I'm like, you know, in a room and it's all mirrors and I'm wearing this like red and black checkered hooded coat and you have to take these tests and it's like the metal desk with the metal chair and the mirrored room so you can't see anything about you in the room, and then they take the paper away and then they like observe your behavior post. It's like obviously if you have nothing to do and you're a 12-year-old kid or 11-year-old kid, you're gonna be like messing around with whatever. And so then they're like, yeah, well, you know, based on his behavioral pattern, he has like ADHD or ADD or whatever. So they're like, oh, okay, let's put you on Ritalin.
I should be fair here. We were coming up with really engaging and interesting advertisings that would really make people think about taking these products. And
hello, Ecuador, I swear, we love you.
in a way, it was a very creative work that the agencies were doing. I mean, I was doing only financial part of it, so I wasn't involved in the creative process, but I could see what was going on, and I saw the end products of the work that we were doing.
Here's the what is that? Antibiotics. What is this? Oh, here's the Seroquel. Concerta literally has the word amphetamine in it. Okay. These were all prescribed at Phoenix Children's Hospital when he left.
And it seems like when kids have problems in school, automatically the teacher wants to give them drugs. You know, for years she wouldn't even do it, you know, and then when she finally does it, it's like,
all hell breaks loose.
yeah.
I had a lady today referring to one of the medications as homework pills.
Homework?
Homework pills. She said, we're going to switch your homework pills to when you get home from school. And that's the one that he was on for just a week because it literally made him into a zombie. It was crazy. You know, they always say that they want to reunify kids with their parents. It's not their goal to keep the kids from their parents. But when I worked in the children's system, they did everything possible to make it hard on the parents to get their kids back. Like tonight, I had to drive an hour and a half just to see my son.
I met somebody who I got really close to on a personal level, and this person shared her story with me, which was pretty dramatic. She was taking pretty hardcore psychotropic drugs by prescription since pretty early age, and she really got me engaged in this research because I never took it seriously before because I didn't have any personal experience. But being with someone who depends on those drugs, who doesn't just know a lot about these drugs but physically depends on them, got me really involved.
All right, no luck yet.
Struggle with addiction. I did it for 40 years. I actually had to go to a rehab. I got kicked out after 2 weeks, and my wife and I were on the run for 6 months. We turned ourselves in and got ourselves straight, and now we're doing good.
Took years to become an addict. Takes a long time to get rid of it.
So I just think that that society is no longer trying to push children and people to accept the problems that they have inside themselves. They've pushed take this pill and it'll all go away.
Right here, he was fine. This was before he was sitting with our second in his lap. This picture, yeah, he was fine. This is after, about 2 years after. You can see his wrist is twisted in the picture. This was last year at my brother's wedding. He was able to hold our youngest daughter for just a few minutes. And so I got that picture then, but his wrists are twisted. That's the dystonia. And up here in this picture was last Father's Day, his wrist and that. And he was able to hold our baby for a few minutes for the picture. So when we watch TV too, he faces behind the couch. So a lot of the times...
This is Josh, his wife Amy, and their 5 children.
So basically what I do
on a daily basis is I just pace, and I pace, and I pace, and I pace. And I don't ever get relief from pacing, but it's the only thing I can do. If I don't pace and I sit, it makes everything a lot worse, and the pain inside gets worse. My movements get worse when I have to sit still or even stand still. So pacing to me is pretty important. It's the only thing I can do. Started a new job, and I was feeling some anxiety, a little depressed. So that's when I got on. Effexor, and a few days after that is when I started feeling that inner pain, feeling like I had to get out of my own skin.
So my personal interest in seeing this doctor is that a few years ago I fell in love with a person who is addicted to psychotropic drugs. And Dr. Peter Bregan is one of the very few people, very few specialists. He's a licensed psychiatrist with the experience of almost 50 years, who never prescribes the psychotropic drugs to his clients. He's one of the very few people in the United States, if not the world, who knows how to do it correctly, and most importantly, how to break the addiction without doing even greater damage to the person. So I think we're all going to learn something very valuable today after we see this doctor in about 1 hour.
We even got him like a hospital bed where he can like raise it up so he can have his legs in the air, because that's how he comfortably slept. My mom didn't know how long you guys were in here, so she... That's, his name is Cy. He's from like a redneck type reality show. Yeah, you can turn that off. Sure.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah. Redneck reality show.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And so the parent naturally wants to go like, I want to help my kid. And then the doctor's like, I can help your kid. I can give him a pill or her a pill. And that pill is going to make him happier. And you're not actually making that kid understand anything other than like, rather than deal with who I am as a human being and in my soul and in my spirit, I'm just going to take this pill so that I don't have to learn about myself.
I was a punk rocker, and I was they call it a gutter punk, and basically lived on the streets, just doing whatever I wanted to do.
This is Chris. Once a heroin addict, he's now hooked on medication. He came to see us with his girlfriend, Irene.
This is his parents' house. The room that he lives in and has to deal with his akathisia and everything was so small that we couldn't fit 2 more people in to film in there. That's how small of a place he lives in.
You can return our call at 800-300-799.
have to take it every 8 hours, so 3 times a day.
And yellow one, what's the name for the yellow one?
Gabapentin.
And white one?
The Ativan, 2 milligram and a 0.5.
Feeling depressed? We have something that might help. Check with your doctor. Go to your doctor and ask for a BOP, whatever the drug is. One of the things we've become expert at is how they manipulate the results to make it so that it doesn't look like there was much suicidality, for instance.
Mom, I always thought people who killed themselves were weird. But I can't live another day like this. And I almost killed myself last week.
I find myself doing things and saying things that I don't mean. It's almost like there's someone else living inside of me, like controlling my body and my thoughts and the things I say.
One of the documents that we got while we were working on some of the suicidal behavior drugs for serotonin reuptake inhibitors, one of their internal scientists, Roger Lane, said it's not so much that they're committing suicide. Their death is a welcome alternative to how uncomfortable it is to go through akathisia. That document does not get placed in the medical journals, doesn't get placed on TV, doesn't get placed in radio ads or in newspaper ads or magazine ads. But that is a documented scientist inside one of these major pharmaceutical companies saying that we have a problem here.
Concerta, Risperdal, Vyvanse, Adderall, hydroxyzine for anxiety, Zoloft, Retinol. He was also given hydrocodone for pain and then oxycodone for pain. And Ativan, of course.
That's why I was hoping that you guys came down earlier today.
Yep. So when I got off the drug and wanted to like give blood to, help people or whatever, to donate blood, it's like you couldn't give blood after taking Accutane for 6 years after taking that drug. So if that gives you any indication of how strong that drug is, 6 years you couldn't give blood because of the what that does to your blood system or like whatever, So.
I'm leaving. Do you want me to take her? She's not going to be a problem. All right, I'll leave Gail and I've got Sherry.
It's a little therapy dog, huh?
I tell stories about my dogs and patients, especially children. She's 13.
Wow.
She's a sweetheart. What do you think? She doesn't see much, doesn't hear much, but she smells really good. You smell it a mile away. We know from monkey studies is just how
the amphetamines work when we give them to children. Give them the monkeys stop socializing, they stop hugging and kissing, they stop trying to escape from their cages, they become good caged animals. So we're making good caged children in our schools. But the parents don't get this.
And he said, I feel like I can't stop shuffling my feet.
It's hard to explain. It feels like there's, like I'm being persecuted, like I'm being tortured in a torture chamber, but it's happening inside of my body. So there's nowhere, there's nowhere to run.
Yeah, I was always brought up to trust doctors. A lot of people say that, trust doctors, they know what they're doing. Until you find out that they don't. And from there, it's just a snowball effect. When you're hurt by something, a medication especially, the doctors almost become defensive when you're trying to tell them things like this, and their only answer is to try more drugs and try more drugs and try more drugs. And it's scary and it's tiring.
Don't go to your psychiatrist. They get offended because they have feet of sand. They're selling a false product. So they get very angry as a group. I mean, there are always exceptions, but as a group, they get angry. They might even lock you up for wanting to come off your psychiatric drugs.
But they do get paid. They do get paid per kid, per, household, whatever. So, I don't know how that all works, but it's a system all in itself.
So who can pay for it? So the poor, the disadvantaged foster children, Medicaid pays for it. That's a governmental agency that pays for medications for people who can't, children and people who can't afford it. Older and people who are 65 and older, Medicare pays for it. Military people, TRICARE pays for it. So prisoners, our tax dollars pay for it. If there is an avenue for a flow of income, flow of money to pay for the medication, that's where there will be people prescribed these drugs in a massive way. And they make so much money from it that they are then able to use that as part of campaigns with legislators and with insurance companies to see to it they get even more prescriptions done. It's quite an operation.
We were pregnant with our 5th child when this happened, and he couldn't hold our newborn because his hands are moving so much.
Trying to live this way, like what she said, my kids, on a daily basis, my kids will ask me to play with them, and there's so many times where I have to say I can't play with you, and it hurts. It just, as a father, that really hurts, and I just can't believe that. I just can't believe that my life has taken this turn. This is not how I ever expected my life would be. I always had plans in my head for the kind of husband and father I'd be, and it's just, I feel like that's all been taken from me. It's all been stolen from me.
Barbara Ann, that's my wife for 30 years, and she had 3 strokes, passed away, they brought her back, and now she's in a rest home, been there about 5 years.
It's a 2003 Power Stroke. with the 7.3 diesel in it. Wake up every morning, have a breakfast with my dad and all them. So, you know, can't really ask for much more than that. Just having fun and just living the dream.
There's 4 girls right here, young horses. Hi, girls. Hi, girls. This one's just a yearling. This one here is pregnant. She just arrived from Spain not too long ago. They're always ready. Doing the things every day that are kind of repetitive but important, like washing the dishes and, you know, taking care of the horses is like that. It takes a lot of dedication, and you have to really self-motivate yourself to get up early in the morning, you know, do what needs to be done, because it's a lot of heavy work and moving them around and riding them, exercise and, you know, health care and... But they just return so much. I mean, they just give their heart so completely to you. And I just get so much satisfaction out of it. Okay, go ahead up. This top step is a little tall. So you go ahead first. Okay. Yeah. Sorry it's so small, but it is all right.
About twice
My
as many.
bedroom.
Okay.
I realized she could detect my seizures. She could predict my seizures. So I got her certified as my service dog, and she traveled with me everywhere for like 5 years. And she would tell me, she would alert me before I would have a seizure and I had time to get with someone, sit down, you know, be somewhere safe. And so she's pretty amazing. But she's upset now because for over years she doesn't have a job. It was always more, never less. They told me my akathisia was agitated depression, that my depression was turning into bipolar, as they said was quite common. Oh, it just needs more meds, new meds. All due to the fact that I was raped as a child and never dealt with it. It was always pushed back. And when my parents first put me on drugs, it was they were so relieved. See, she's the problem. You know, we don't have to do anything. It's not our fault. You know, she's crazy and all that. So I finally got so fed up, I decided myself that I would get off. Well, I found that wasn't quite so easy.
Sometimes we were desperate. Sometimes we just fell in despair because we had the feeling that maybe she would never feel like a human again without the drugs. I mean, she was still developing. Her brain was still developing when she took her first psychotropic drugs when she was a teenager. And we didn't know if it would be possible for her to ever live without them. So it was really hard to find a specialist who would help to move in that direction. But we did find some information. We learned about tapering. We learned about the correct way of getting off these drugs. And basically it's the same way as getting off any kind of street drug or smoking or alcohol. The same idea.
And so I basically lived my life drugged out. I fought to do anything. It was either two up, two down, two this, two that, and those drugs are so horribly addicting. When I tried to get off them myself, it was an experience that I couldn't relate to anybody.
You have to go slowly. It's really important. If you've been on a psychiatric drug, especially multiple drugs for months or years, you have to come off slowly. I've written a book about it. It's called Psychiatric Drug Withdrawal.
So I found Peter Bregan's book and withdrawal from psychiatric medications, and I followed it to a T. I took all my 7 medications, just shaved off a little piece of one every day, and it took me over a year, and I finally got off of everything.
Is this from Star Wars?
Yes.
Yeah. Nice.
This is a 2 milligram, and this is a half a milligram, and I take both of these 3 times a day, so it's 7.5 milligrams, and by shaving it down, I've gotten down to about half a milligram in maybe five months. So it's a very, very long, slow process, and
he's in withdrawal.
And this is only one medication. I have 2 other medications to get off of.
Some of the documents we have is like, why is this important? Like withdrawal. Some drugs are, once you get on them, it's very difficult to get off them because they change the architecture of the brain. When the drug's taken away, people think that their depression is returning when actually they're going through withdrawal. Just like you were like withdrawing from cocaine or withdrawing from heroin, it's withdrawal. And for these companies, it was a big deal to not, some of these companies, to not have the withdrawal be a feature in the labeling.
We were really drawn to each other on some emotional level. It wasn't because of drugs that that we were together. It was probably something deeper. But as with any addiction, street drugs or alcohol addiction or whatever addiction, gambling addiction, any addiction makes a relationship really hard. And it took a huge toll on us. So we couldn't hold it together because of this, but we did last for 3 years, and we every single day, one way or another, this topic was coming up. What do we do today to make the addiction better, to make the withdrawal symptoms better, to make her feel like a human again?
My bike I kind of consider to be a lifesaver in a way. The one thing I can do, and I'm comfortable doing outside, is getting on my bike and riding it. It helps because on my bike I'm constantly pedaling, so I'm moving, my legs are always moving, so it helps. I'm sitting, but I'm moving, and I enjoy it. I can get out and I can move around. Normally, everything inside my body feels like it's just going a million miles an hour, and I feel like I don't have any control over anything in my life, nothing. But when I get on my bike, I have control over my bike. I can, I feel like I have control of my bike, and that's a relief for me to have control of something. The bike definitely helps a lot, and I like to go at night because there's not a lot of people outside at night, and I can just kind of be by myself and not have to worry about running into people. And that helps a lot too. That takes a lot of the worry and the stress off.
This is what horses do for me.
Oh, show me. It's really nice. Kind of a bodybuilder, you know?
Yeah, it makes me feel good, you know, and that kind of like happened surprisingly. One day I'm like, oh, and even in the back, all my muscles, you know, I'm proud because I'm 61. And most of the women I know that are 61, you know, like couch potatoes, you know.
Today?
So you're looking at the waist, yeah?
Yeah.
She's always looking at the waist.
Yeah. It's a bit cold. And this Topanga right here.
Oh.
Like 1 minute away.
A lot of people.
Obviously, if I wasn't in the sea and wasn't participating in like the ocean, like I don't know, I'd be dead. Well, I think that you never get rid of it. You know, I think that's the thing that the parents and society and doctors and psychologists and things like maybe don't understand.
There are no lifetime studies. I mean, one of the more recent approvals in the FDA of a stimulant for so-called ADHD was 3 weeks long. So then you're going to say give it for months or years or a lifetime? And why are the studies only 3 months long? Because the drugs don't work. They're all neurotoxins, so after a few weeks, the patients get worse. So you can't carry the studies beyond a few weeks. This is such a giant fraud.
I'm just really in shock that it continues on and on. All the research, all the long-term studies, which are people like me. There were no long-term studies in the beginning when those drugs are approved. I'm the long-term study. I was affected horribly by those drugs. They never helped me. It was all a mistake. I should have never been put on drugs. I should have been nurtured a little bit by my parents and not told that I'm a reject and I deserve what I got and it was all my fault. And I'm just not, you know, like everybody else in the family, defective. When those parents put those kids on the drugs, they're teaching those children that there's something wrong with them. That's something that's instilled in there, and they will likely never get over that. They're defective. They need a pill to fix them. You know, every human being on the earth has their own issues, and children, when they go through trauma like that, what do they need? TLC, understanding, somebody to take them by the hand and tell them it wasn't their fault, and this is how you get through it. You be strong. You know, you don't just take a pill and just forget about it. I mean, it's just ridiculous. To me, it's like laziness on the parents' part and not enough concern to look into the facts and see what happens to these kids long term. It's not a good outcome. It's not a good outcome in any way. It never helps.
How he was, well, he was a very happy young child. And when he hit about 4 or 5, he started to become very rebellious. You know, we tried to deal with it the best way that we could. And it just kind of, you know, it was just the kind of, you can't make me do this. And you know, anything we would say, he would be argumentative about it. We spent a lot of time with him as a child. My husband and I worked opposite shifts, and so one of us was almost always with him. You know, it just kind of escalated as he got older, and when he was about in 4th grade, he started having a lot of trouble in school. So we started seeing a psychologist, and he would not talk to the doctors. You know, we tried to do family counseling and things like that, and he wouldn't talk. He said that we didn't love him. That was what he always told the doctors. That was his problem, is that we didn't love him. That was his perception, that he was not loved. And He never did like open up to the doctors. We did put him on Ritalin in 4th grade for 1 year, and we took him off. And that 1 year he was having a lot of trouble. It seemed to help from our perspective. The next year we took him off, so he took it for probably not even a year, maybe 8 or 9 months. He didn't want to follow our rules. He was smoking and drinking and experimenting with drugs, and he didn't have a lot of freedom because he didn't get good grades and he was doing drugs and he wasn't responsible, so we didn't give him a lot of privileges. And the other kids got a lot of privileges, and that's another thing. It kind of sticks with him that he just saw that and thought that was unfair. But they were always good students and well behaved, and like I said, saw what he missed out on, and were determined not to go down that same road. It was a good education for the other two. Yeah, and I don't know. I honestly don't know what created the issues that we had with him. We don't. Obviously, we didn't do something.
Okay.
There was something missing in his life from us, but I can't see that. I can't see what we did. Okay, now see, he's mad at what I just said. Something I said set him off just now.
Where did you go? Where are you?
I just started walking.
I know, but where? Which way? Okay. I said okay.
I'm scared now.
Don't be.
I'm scared. I'm scared. How do I stay with people like this? They literally have no compassion. They see me as a drug-addled, rebellious teenager that just never grew up, and that's all they see. That's all they see. That's all they see. Aaron, I can't. There's no hope. There's no hope.
There is hope. There's always hope.